Hey everyone! Today we're diving into CNC wood bits engraving. Bits or metal working bits enable your machine to do what it's made for, knowing which CNC bits to choosing can be confusing, and few people truly understand how they work. Welcome to WEIXTOOLs, your go-to source for all things cutting tools. Click the link below this video to get your free WEIXTOOLs product catalog, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icons for more practical tips. In this video, we'll take a closer look at 1. What are CNC router bits? 2. Types of CNC bits. 3. The parts of CNC bits. 4. The materials CNC bits consist of. 5. Drilling bits versus milling bits. We'll also delve into some of the other details. For instance, in our sections about materials, we tell you exactly which materials work for which work pieces. The descriptions of the different CNC bits cover what each one does well. Let's get into it. What are CNC router bits? CNC bits are the tools that fit into a CNC router's rotating spindle. The spindle moves at high speeds, allowing the router bit's cutting edge to remove a certain amount of material. Every revolution either deepens, widens, or enlarges the cut. Different bits have different purposes. CNC wood bits, for instance, only cut wood. Depending on the bits in use, you can cut and engrave, or milling wood and other materials. CNC bits in details. Parts of Abbott CNC bits may be a relatively simple part of the routing process, but there's more to them than meets the eye. From CNC wood bits to carbide drilling bits, they mostly share the same basic structure. Most bits, whether they are drill bits or router bits, share the following parts. Flute. The flute is the cutting edge of the CNC bit that recesses into the core. Without it, the bit could end trim of the material it cuts, much like an earth auger or standard drill bit. The flute scoops up the material the bit removes. It then spins it backwards till it ejects at the end. The length of the flute. Flutes can be either straight or spiral cut. Straight flutes don't remove material from the cut, but spiral flutes do. Pro tips. More flutes equal a smoother cut, though it reduces the capacity for chip load. Flute length. The flute length is the the amount of space that the flute fills on CNC bits. It's often a critical criteria when buying bits, and most manufactured RS list the flute length on product descriptions. Land. The landing part of CNC bits is the inverse of the flute. It's a raised island between the flutes, which is like lie where it gets its name, unlike the flute, which removes loose material. The landing helps provide the thrust needed to cut the material. Lip relief. Lip relief refers to the amount of slanting on the CNC bit tip. It usually makes up the blade edge of the bit, allowing it to cut efficiently. When you look at the CNC bits from the front, the anatomy changes somewhat. From this point of view, you'll see the land same as with the side. The raised part between the fluting margin, how far the cutting edge lip relief extends beyond the web thickness. Web thickness. How thick the bit is, i.e. how wide the flute part is at the bit surface. Essential terminology when dealing with CNC bits. If you work with CNC bits a lot, there are a couple of phrases you'll hear a lot. Let's take a look. Tool path. The route the spindle follows to make cuts. You get to program the tool path into the software when you were creating the design. It's worth noting that you can program the tool path to go contrary to the machine's axis. Chip load. The chip load refers to the size of the material that the bit removes with every rotation. Smaller chip loads equate to more heat generation, while larger chip loads lead to the reverse. Feed rate. How much lateral space your bits can process per minute. Feed rates are typically measured in inches or feet per minute. If you're chip load and feed rate don't match up. You can easily damage your CNC bits. Speed rate. How fast the spindle moves. Speed rates are measured in revolutions per minute, and not all bits can maintain equal speeds. CNC router bits guide. Bit materials. CNC bits don't always consist of the same material. The market features a variety of types, each of which has different advantages and disadvantages. Not all bit types can cut every type of material, so you need to choose the right bit for your particular project. Let's take a closer look at the materials used to manufacture these bits. Solid carbide SC. Solid carbide CNC bits are some of the harder bits on the market. However, as with many hard materials, they can be brittle. Carbide is a type of wear-resistant steel that works well for cutting materials like PVC foam, wood, acrylic, plastics, fiberboard, soft metals depending on the shape of the bits. Solid carbide can be used for cutting, engraving, and milling, among other things. It's worth noting that not all carbide bits are equal. If you want CNC bits that will stay the course, you might want to consider paying more for a quality bit. Carbide tip ed. CT. High quality carbide steel bits can be expensive. Carbide tipped bits make their efficiency available at lower prices. Carbide tipped steel bits have a core that consists of cheaper steel coated with layers of carbide. This arrangement gives you the affordability of most steels and the strength of carbide. You can use the carbide tip ed bits for all the same things you use a solid carbide bits for, namely PVC foam, wood, acrylic, plastics, fiberboard, soft metals, styrofoam. Typically, carbide tipped bits are on the chunkier side since they have an independent line molded core. Hence, if you want to do fine work, a solid carbide bit is the better choice. Solid tungsten carbon. Unlike many other bits, tungsten carbon bits are specifically alloyed blends of metals. Manufacture are as combine metallic cobalt and tungsten carbon to get CNC bits that are more durable, are extremely strong, stay sharper for longer, are harder and less brittle. The solid tungsten carbon bits work well for both soft and medium hard materials like PVC, ABS foam, wood, LDPE, PM, MAHDPE, acrylic, plastics, styrofoam, fiberboard, soft metals, high-speed steel, HSS, high-speed steel. CNC bits consist of hardened ed steel, which gives them several advantages: increased heat resistance, more wear resistance, greater hardness. Thanks to these advantages, HSS CNC bits can handle some of the materials that the other bits struggled with. Some of the materials you can cut with HSS include ABS, PVC, HDPE, LDPE, EPM, MA, wood, acrylic, styrofoam. HSS CNC bits work ally well in exceptions. Any context that requires high resistance, depending on the type. You can use them for cutting, milling, engraving, or routing. Polycrystalline diamonds PCD. Polycrystalline diamonds CNC bits are extremely hard and can cut materials that would never be possible with traditional steels. These bits consist of diamond particles that have been bounded and embedded in a carbide base. Thanks to the extreme strength of both diamonds and carbide, these bits are harder than steel, extremely durable, better at cutting highly abrasive substances. Thanks to the above features, polycrystalline diamond bits can cut a more diverse array of materials like PVC, ABS foam, wood, LDPE, PM, MAHDPE, acrylic, plastic, styrofoam, fiberglass, fiberboard, soft metals, carbon fiber. CNC router bit guide. Bit types. Now that our CNC router bit guide has discussed the different materials of which CNC bits consist, let's look at the types. Depending on the purpose you're using your router for, you'll need a specific type of bits. The marketing BOA STS many different kinds of CNC bits, but we'll discuss some of the most popular below. Drilling bits versus milling bits. The distinction between CNC bits is that they're typically either drilling bits or milling bits. As the name implies, drilling bits are best for creating holes and drilling straight through materials. Machinists often use them to drill holes for screws, recesses, and other basic holes or pockets. Milling bits, on the other hand, cover all the other aspects of CNC machining, from engraving bits to routing bits and cutting bits. Anything that isn't off falls in the drilling bit milling category. If you're practicing a straightforward drilling operation, then you'll probably need a drilling bits. For everything else, you'll need some kind of milling bits. As you can imagine, there are hundreds of different bit types. Below, we'll take a closers at the different shapes that CNC bits coming in. Flat bottom bits. Flat bottom bits, also known as cylindrical bits, comes in both spiral and straight-edged varieties. These tools typically find use in engraving and cutting functions. Spiral bits work better when cutting or routing, since it is tip of the bit that does the cutting. Straight edge bits work well when engraving, since it's straight blade that removes the materials. Bald nose bits. Ball nose or round nose bits have a different sphere of pressure thanks to their arched shape. The pressure applied to these bits is distributed more uniformly, creating a smoother cuts. They're useful for various tasks, but not for cutting and milling as such. Some of the best ways to use these bits are when creating flutes in solid materials, routing channels, engraving, tape red ball, nose bits. Tape red ball nose bits give you the best of both worlds, combining tape red bits and round nose bits. These tools work well for things like scrolling work, carvings, and detailed routing, thanks to their fine, rounded tips and tapers. These CNC bits produce uniform cuts. They also have small working edges, allowing them to do intense detailed work with clean edges, no matter how fine the design is. Corn teeth end bits. Corn teeth end bits get their names because the side edges are full of teeth. This can make these CNC bits look similar to corn, thanks to their unique design and plethora of cutting edges. These bits work exceptionally well when dealing with tough materials. They often leave a smoother edges since their abundance of cutting edges smooths the working surface. Irregular tape red bits. Irregular tape red bits are CNC bits produced with specific purposes in mind. They're often referred to as big-headed router bits. Unlike most CNC bits, which had a head welded onto the existing shaft, the heads of these bits are machined from the same piece of material as the shaft. Depending on the size and shape of the bits in question, the purpose can vary significantly. A few of the uses include cutting, routing. The main use is for engraving. This bit type typically engraving, but it all depends on what the specific bit was made to do. CNC bit cutting types. What you need to know: spiral bits are significantly different from straight bits, even if they look similar. There are three main types of spiral bits, which serve different purposes. Let's take a closer look at them. Upcut bits. Upcut bit pull both the workpiece and the chips it removes upwards. Doing so helps to remove all debris and discarded materials from the cut. The advantage of this approach is that it prevents the bits from overheating due to constant friction. Removing the discarded material reduces friction and heat levels. These bits are great for most tasks and produce a reliably clean cuts on the project slower surface. Down cut bits. As you'd imagine, downy cut bits do the reverse of up cut bits. Instead of pulling upwards, they push the material and debris downwards. These bits are excellent when trying to produce actually an upper surface, but may leave the lower surface looking ragged because they push the discarded materials back into the cut. These aren't the best bits for drilling holes. They produce high levels of friction since they keep pushing against the removed materials. Compression bits combine the qualities of both upcut and downcut bits. They push the upper surface of the workpiece down while pulling the lower surface of the workpiece up. Thanks to this unique operating method, these drill bits are ideal when working with laminate head materials. They can helps prevent cracking and warpings, leaving alkaline surfaces on both sides of the workpiece. CNC router bit guide. Choosing the right bit for your project when you trying to find the right CNC bits for your project. There are a few things you need to consider. Here, there are a few questions you can ask yourself to figure out which ones you need. Are you drilling or milling? If you're just drilling holes, then a CNC drill bit will suffice. If you're routing, engraving, cutting, or doing scroll work, you need one of the milling bits. Which materials are you working with? This affects both the materials the CNC bits are made of and which type of bits you buy. For reference, laminate head fared better with materials compression bits than upcut or downcut bits. It will give you a cleaner cuts. Solid carbide or carbide tip edge CNC bits are best when you're working with extremely hard materials. If you're working with hard materials, but not doing anything to fine, corn tooth end bits will work well. If you're working with hard metals, carbon fiber, or glass, consider buying polycrystalline diamond bits. Diamond is hard enough to cut these materials easily. If you're doing fine, detailed projects, tape red ball nose bits will give you a clean finish, especially when engraving, carving, and doing scroll work. What is the aim of the project? If you're simply milling something to size, a straight edge cutting bit will work well. If you're making mounting holes for cabinets, a drilling bit will work. But if you're doing fine engravings on glass or metal, you'll probably want polycrystalline ball tips. We hope that you've enjoyed our CNC router bits guide and that it's answered all your questions. If you'd like to learn more about CNC machines and what they can do for you, feel free to contact us. We'd love to help you learn more about these wonderful tools.